Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled People story. It feels surreal to finally share my story after 6 long years of enduring the tyranny of a homeowners association. The relentless pursuit for justice, the destruction of my property, and the incessant demands to pay homeowners association fees have all culminated in a dramatic and thrilling conclusion. Now, with the dust settled, I can proudly say that I have emerged victorious, standing tall against the Homeowners Association. To understand the full extent of this battle, we must rewind further back to when the Homeowners Association was first established. In my neighborhood, the Homeowners Association was optional for existing residents, but newcomers were automatically enrolled. Being one of the few holdouts, I staunchly refused to join, dismissing their persistent requests as mere junk mail. I had no interest in becoming entangled in their restrictive regulations. In their desperation to enforce their authority, the Homeowners Association created a group of self-proclaimed officers, individuals who wielded power without any legitimate authority. These officers began tormenting me, demanding payment for Homeowners Association fees despite my non-membership. Their actions escalated from mere annoyance to outright destruction when they raided my property, tearing up my lawn, vandalizing my windows, and subjecting me to sleepless nights of incessant doorbell ringing. Fearful yet resolved, I attempted to involve the police, but the officers always managed to elude capture, exploiting their self-imposed vigilante status. Fed up with their illegal activities, I sought legal representation and initiated a lawsuit against the Homeowners Association. To strengthen my case, my lawyer advised installing video cameras to document the ongoing harassment. Throughout the arduous 6-year legal battle, numerous hurdles complicated the proceedings. Debates arose regarding my ability to sue the Homeowners Association as a non-member, which threatened to prolong the case indefinitely. Meanwhile, the emergence of the pandemic further delayed the legal process, leaving me vulnerable to continued harassment while justice eluded me. However, as life gradually returned to normalcy, I finally gained momentum in my lawsuit against the Homeowners Association. Unbeknownst to them, I possessed irrefutable evidence of their actions, captured on video. In court, their faces turned ashen when confronted with the undeniable proof of their wrongdoing. Their futile attempts to discredit the videos by claiming lack of consent to record on my own property fell flat, as the law unequivocally supported my right to protect my personal domain. Ultimately, the Homeowners Association was found guilty of harassment, but it was the extensive property damage that served as the focal point of my lawsuit. Years of destruction had taken their toll, discouraging me from repairing the damages, knowing they would be targeted once more. The Homeowners Association, realizing the weight of their misdeeds, reluctantly ceased their arguments, fully aware that their defeat was imminent. Now, 6 years since the ordeal began, the final court decision has been rendered. The Homeowners Association is ordered to pay me a staggering $200,000 in restitution for their relentless harassment and property destruction. Any future interference in my life, including sending solicitations to join the Homeowners Association, would result in additional fines. Moreover, an independent investigation has been initiated to scrutinize the Homeowners Association's officer program, potentially exposing further violations of local laws governing homeowners associations. While the financial compensation is indeed significant, I find myself more exhausted than celebratory. This prolonged battle has drained me, leaving behind a sense of weariness rather than triumph. I can only hope that the Homeowners Association's officer program is dismantled, ushering in a new era where residents are no longer subjected to unwarranted harassment. Although I had hoped for the dissolution of the Homeowners Association itself, I am heartened by the fact that others, inspired by my victory, have come forward to challenge the Homeowners Association's authority, hiring their own legal representation to seek emancipation. The next one is a pro-revenge story. This story isn't about me, but my dear old dad. Back in the day, he used to be a plumber. He then went on to join the military, where he sustained various injuries and chemical exposure. Anyway, this happened during the time when he was fighting for his disability. On occasion, he would do side jobs just to get by. It was very painful and difficult work for him, but alas, the bills needed to be paid. At the time, he had a neighbor up the road who needed some pretty serious work done in his home, and offered to pay my dad a bit over $3,000 for the labor. To be frank, $3,000 was a bit on the low end for the work, but my dad figured, hey, help a neighbor out, and he really needed to make some extra cash. The holidays were coming up, a little over 2 months before Christmas. The guy buys the supplies, my dad does the labor, with promises that he'll be paid when it is finished. You already know where this is going. Surprise, surprise, the work gets finished, but the guy doesn't pay up. Not only does this guy not pay my dad, but he has the gall to laugh at my dad and ask him what he's going to do about it since the work was under the table. Neighbor be damned. Oh, was he, my dad, ever pissed? I remember when he flat out told me, that son of an idiot might not ever pay me, but he's going to be paying someone that $3,000. Just you watch, sweets. And he got to work. He couldn't spend a lot of time on his feet, but he had quite a few hours to kill, and he started planning this dude's comeuppance. He went to the store and bought a bunch of jacks, the kind that come in the game of jacks, with the rubber ball and whatnot. He then proceeded to spend the next couple of weeks sharpening them up and making the ends into little spikes. Every time he would drive by this guy's house, he'd casually toss a handful out the window into this guy's driveway. You can imagine this guy was constantly getting flat tires and had to continuously repair and replace them. Fast forward to Christmas Day, my dad calls me up, cackling hysterically, so I ask him what's up. This is actually one of my favorite memories of him. He tells me, remember that neighbor? The one that ducked me over? Well, I just drove by his house, and he, the wife, and the kids are all dressed up for church, standing in the front yard by their car, and it's got a couple flats. You see, I think he wised up because he started parking in the grass, but the mother ducker didn't know I threw them in the yard too. I love my dad. The next one is a petty revenge story. I, 35M, have a younger brother, Todd, 29M, who had a complicated birth and had to stay a month in the ICU. Because of this, my parents have always doted on him and denied him nothing, even if it was to the detriment of my sister Abby, 32F, and me. Todd revels in the attention and has on more than one occasion made himself the center of attention at either my sister's, or a cousin's special event. Because of this, Abby and I have a strained relationship with Todd and our parents. Unfortunately, Todd met and fell in love with Lucy, 24F, who announced her own pregnancy at the baby shower my mom held for Abby. When I proposed to my wife, Michelle, 30F, I initially wanted to elope. However, she really wanted her family to be there. So I invited my family out of obligation. While out, my best man, Jim, 35M, noticed a receipt from a jewelry store that slipped out of Todd's pocket. Jim confronted Todd about this, which led to an argument. Jim told me everything, and I informed Todd that he would no longer be a groomsman because I knew he was going to propose at my wedding. Todd cried to our parents, resulting in a blowout. In my parents' eyes, since Todd never admitted that he planned to propose to Lucy at my wedding, they believed I was unfairly judging him. I refused and brought up Todd's past behavior. My parents couldn't refute this and convinced Todd not to attempt anything at my wedding. However, this wasn't enough to convince me to let him be a groomsman. I warned him that if he tried anything as a guest, he would regret it. Fast forward to the wedding, and unsurprisingly, Todd walked over to Lucy and proposed to her during Michelle's father-daughter dance, making sure everyone noticed. That's when my revenge took place. Jim and I had hired a woman to pretend to be Todd's lover. She cornered Todd and Lucy, claiming to be pregnant with his baby. Todd denied it, but when she called his phone, I provided her with his number and tampered with Todd's phone to incriminate him. It didn't look good for him. Lucy threw the ring back at Todd and left in tears. When Todd saw the smile on my face, he knew it was me. I didn't respond to a single call or text from him or my parents until after the honeymoon. Lucy has thrown Todd's belongings out and is denying him access to their child. Todd is furious and demands that I clear his name. I sent him a text saying I had no idea what he was talking about, along with a screenshot of the wedding bill. I also vaguely demanded reimbursement for half of the wedding costs. Michelle knew the whole time what I was planning and gave me the green light after Todd ruined her moment with her dad. I felt pretty good, but now even Abby thinks I went too far. The next one is a malicious compliance story. A little background info. I live in a popular tropical tourist destination, and one of my jobs is as crew on a snorkel boat. I set up the boat before the trip, lifeguard, give history about the area, etc. My captain is also the owner of the business, so what he says goes, and he knows the local waters like the back of his hand. Our company consists of him, me, and his girlfriend who manages bookings, phones, and emails. We aren't low quality, but we don't offer full meals or entertainment on board and focus solely on the snorkel experience. Because of that, compared to the larger boats, our private charters are lower cost than most competition. In turn, we often get penny pincher people. Onward to the main story. A family of 22 had been hounding our office before they even arrived at our location, according to our office. They were pushy and trying to get discounts and free upgrades, so I was already dreading this charter. Generally, we take a card number and charge it before the charter, but this group was adamant about paying cash. The office and captain said fine, but told me to get payment before getting them on the boat. Our boat is 50-foot long and stays moored offshore a few hundred yards, so we use a water taxi to ferry from the shore to the boat. I got dropped off to get payment, check the group in, and give them pre-boarding info. I walked up to the main guy paying for everything to start the process, and that's when things went downhill. M = me, G = guy. G: hello, which boat are we going on? M points to our boat. That pretty one right there. G: that's not the boat we are going on. M: yes it is. There isn't any other boat, sir. G: no, the boat looks like this. Shows me a photo of the boat from our website. M: yes sir, that is the same boat. We just had the bottom and paint replaced a month ago. I guess our office hasn't updated our website. Sorry about the confusion, but I assure you it is the exact same boat. G: well, I don't think you're trying to deceive me, but then why would they send me that photo? M: I'm sorry, I'm not sure what to tell you. It is the same boat. G: well, I think we need to go out and inspect it and look at it before we decide to go and pay for it. M: I'm sorry, sir, that's not how this works. We've already set up the boat for the charter and blocked any other bookings to accommodate your private charter. You can pay and we can take your family out for their excursion, or you can decide not to go. We haven't received payment from you, so we have no obligation to you and no money to return. What would you like to do? G: then we don't want to go on the boat. M: okay, sir, sorry it didn't work out. You and your family have a good day. I picked up my stuff, turned around, got in the water taxi, and left them on the shore. As we rode away, I could see the guy already on the phone trying to call the office. I called his bluff, and he was panicking because his whole family just heard him say they didn't want to go, even though many of them did. I got back to the boat and explained to the captain what happened. He said it sounds like he doesn't want them on his boat anyway, and it's their loss. We had planned to refuel after their trip, but decided to do it now since we now had the morning open. They were still on the shore when we left, but were gone when we got back. Once back on shore, the other guys who run activities in the same area told us the group had hung around for about an hour. I guess the guy was very convinced we would come crawling back, but when we didn't, the family started fighting since many of them still wanted to go. Now they have to try to find another boat that has 22 spaces open and will most likely cost 3 times more than us. It was totally worth waking up early without pay. The next one is an entitled People Story. I live on a dirt road, and while I own it, 3 other families have the right to drive on it to access their properties. All good. Where the road curves over time, gravel has built up well off the road and visually made that portion look like an abandoned parking lot. A sad sight next to my forest of trees and our sparkling river. In the blazing heat of August, I toiled. I scraped up the gravel, watered, to force more gravel up to the surface, scraped, hauled, raked, and sweated. My neighbors shook their collective heads as they saw me working. 3 dump trucks of soil arrived, raking, smoothing, and finally joyful planting. A small flowering tree, hundreds of lily bulbs, daffodils, grass seed bushes have replaced the gravel wasteland. Now my phone rings. Mr. Wonderful, the neighbor at the end of the road, wants to talk to me. We meet at my work site. He wants me to explain what I am doing. Fine, I explain. He tells me my work is a waste of time. Fine, I'm okay with trying. He informs me that the whole community uses that area as a turnaround. The whole community is him. No one else would ever need to use it. I am still okay. I tell him that if he needs to drive on my grass a bit to turn his boat around, I am okay with that. He asks why I did not tell him what my plans were. I come up with some version of what? Why would I check with you about planting grass on my yard? And oh, by the way, you have driven past me doing this work for days. If you were so interested, you could have asked. But now you know I am planting grass. The mask dissolves. His 6+ self hops off his golf cart and growls, "No, I am going to tell you what you are going to do." Mr. Wonderful informs me that the land is not legally mine as he is claiming it through adverse possession. I laughed. I am 5'1" and was totally terrified inside, but I am not going to cede an inch. Towering over me with spit flying, he screams that I can expect to be in court facing a judge because he is not giving me his property. And the threats keep coming. By now, other neighbors have come over to witness the fuss. He keeps at it. When he stops for a breath, I say to everyone, I am so glad you are all here. I am planting grass on my property. If you are called to court to testify, please do not worry about offending me. I will not be angry. And regardless of the outcome of the case, if any of you need to encroach on the grass to turn vehicles around, you have my full permission. Except for you, Mr. Wonderful. You are never to touch my property. The next one is an entitled parent story. So a bit of backstory. I'm a 28-year-old woman who recently went fully blind. When I was a teenager, I volunteered with my local youth group to help rebuild Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. While I was down there, I picked up a fungal parasite called histoplasmosis that migrated to my eyes over a decade and slowly caused blindness. I've been totally blind for about a year now, so I'm pretty new to it, but I digress. When I first went blind, I barely left the house and was afraid to go in public. I felt like everyone was staring at me, and honestly, I barely knew what I was doing. The transition had been difficult, and I didn't have any support group to teach me. One day, my husband asks if I can take an Uber down to the bank and deposit a rent check, and I reluctantly agree. While I'm out, he messages again and reminds me that we're out of a few crucial groceries. There was a Walmart grocery store literally across the street from the bank, so I figure everything in life is an experience, and I'll have to learn how to shop alone eventually. So why not? Everything was fine at first, and I was only grabbing a few things, so I didn't need a cart. I was using my cane and what little echolocation skills I had at the time to get around, but I was still bumping into things as we blind tend to do sometimes. My cane suddenly hit something a bit softer, and I figure maybe I had whacked someone's leg and apologize. Cue entitled kid, EK, and entitled mother, EM. Me. Shoot, I'm sorry. EM. Hey, you just hit my son. Me. I'm so sorry, ma'am, I didn't see him there. EM begins yelling, how could you not see him? He's clearly right here. Now I'm fully blind, but I don't wear sunglasses. Mostly because I can't afford a good UV blocking pair, but also I'm not ever looking for pity or to play the part of a generic blind person. I just want to be treated like a normal person, but I do understand her confusion as blindness is a spectrum, so I try to calmly explain. Me. Ma'am, I'm blind. I can't see anything, let alone your son. That's why I have to use the cane so I can get around without. She cuts me off. If you're blind, why aren't you wearing big sunglasses? Now, as a blind person, I get a lot of stupid questions, but I understand that many of them come from people who don't know better, so I try to happily answer as many as I can. Me. Those are really expensive, around $200 for a good pair, and I really don't need them inside. EM. You're not blind, you're faking it. Here is where my blood starts to boil. I can't think of any reason someone would want to pretend to be blind. It's an actual hell. And nothing pisses me off more than when someone calls me a liar when I'm not. Just as I'm about to respond, I feel a tug, and before I blink, I realize this little demon spawn has snatched my $100 cane from my hands. For those of you who don't understand, that's like if you're shopping, and suddenly the power goes out and you can't see a single light. Without my cane, I can barely move at all without crashing into anything. My voice gets shaky as I begin to panic. Please give that back, I really do need it. M. No, you don't, you liar. My son deserves to play with this more than you. I hear her shuffle away, and my expensive cane cracking into metal displays and such as they leave. I start crying and waving my arms in front of me to grab onto something, anything, and end up crashing and falling into a center aisle display, making a loud scene. Without fail, I somewhat curl into a ball and cry. I'm alone in public, in the dark, and I have no idea what to do. Suddenly, I feel a hand on my shoulder and a man's voice, we'll call him AG for awesome guy, asks if I'm okay and tells me to stay right here. I do, but begin to at least sit up and listen. This man must have been tall and built like a tank because his footsteps sounded like a giant's, and I felt a suction of wind when he took off. Maybe about 30 or 40 feet away, I hear this loud bellowing like an angry lion and a loud crash. Then, before I know it, the man is back and helping me to my feet. He takes my hand and puts my cane into my palm and helps me pick up the items I dropped when I fell into the display. Me, wiping tears from my cheeks. Thank you so much. I didn't know how to handle that. AG. Don't worry about it. Some people are just monsters. This guy restored my faith in humanity and even helped me finish shopping and get out of the store. As we're leaving, I can hear the familiar screeching of EM. Something about AG grabbing the cane and pulling hard, flinging her little devil child into a shopping cart. I don't know if she was exaggerating or not, but it would explain the crash I heard. It's easy to feel alone in a world without sight, But even through the sheer terror of being stripped of my cane, at least I know now that there are people willing to stand up for me when I need it. The next one is an entitled parent's story. I'm allergic to fish and seafood. It's not the anaphylactic type of allergy, thank goodness, so I'm not going to die if I eat some, but I do throw up, have a stomach ache, and get a massive headache for a few hours. If I consume enough fish or seafood, I break out in small red hives over my arms. My mother didn't believe it, and as a child I couldn't stand up to her properly. She would force me to eat dishes with seafood or fish in them to prove I wasn't allergic, and then ignore me when I got sick. One day she held a dinner party. I was dressed up beautifully and brought out to parade before the guests. At the time, I was around 9 years old, precocious for my age, and absolutely fed up with my mother making me sick. When she held out a fish cutlet, fish cooked with vegetables rolled into a ball covered in batter and fried, for me to eat, I saw my chance. Me loudly, "I can't eat that, I'm allergic to fish." Mother, "No you're not, eat it." Me, "I am allergic, I'll throw up." No Asian mother will back down in front of guests for fear of looking like she can't discipline her child. My mother grabbed the fish cutlet, shoved it in my mouth, and said in her most firm voice of command, "Eat," so I ate it. Cut to about 10 minutes later. I went up to my mother and tugged on her sorry to get attention. Me, "I don't feel well." Barf. I vomited on her on the expensive carpet and in full view of all the guests. My mother has a reputation for being a kind, generous, charitable, and very religious woman. So in front of all the guests, she couldn't do anything except act sympathetic and send me off to bed to recover. She never made me eat fish or seafood again. My daffodils came up this spring, the lilies are sprouting, and no court summons has arrived. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.